Morning, beautiful people. How are you all today? Y'all, today's live stream is gonna be a hoot, okay? we live in the dumbest timeline possible. I mean, all you can do is laugh, right? All you can do is laugh. There's only a certain amount of discretion that we have over everything happening, and oh gosh, it is just the mental gymnastics that many different MAGA people are having to jump through right now. Like, girl, I mean, go run that marathon. So we're gonna be getting to everything. So yesterday, Donald Trump had this interview with a guy named Terry Moran, who is some sort of journalist. I've never heard of him. Trump makes a dig at him, saying that he's never heard of him. So it's a whole thing. But during this interview, there were a couple things that stuck out to me, and I wanted to start with this moment because it really just shows you the absurdity of where we are in America. The absolute absurdity. So you all may have heard the name Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This is the guy who was wrongfully just kidnapped and deported to El Salvador, to CCOT, the slave labor gulag concentration camp thing. And in a Supreme Court hearing 9-0, they said you must bring him back. You must facilitate the return of this guy. And there are all these people that fearmonger around. Oh, this guy is so dangerous. He has all these tattoos that are dangerous. Well, what I want to point something out. He does have a tattoo on his hand, actually. I think it's a marijuana leaf. It's a smiley face, a cross, and then a skull. Okay. I am not sure if that actually is symbolizing MS-13. I highly doubt it, because MS-13 tattoos clearly say that it's MS-13, and I'll show you what some of those real tattoos look like. But during this interview, Donald Trump seems to have believed that this photoshopped photo that had the letters MS-13 on it were real. And he wouldn't back down. He wouldn't back down. So this it gets crazier and crazier. Good morning, Ellie. Y'all, if you're excited for today's live show, then please make sure to like the stream. Today's live is going to be a little bit more lighthearted. It's not going to be as like, oh crap, democracy is completely unwinding. It's going to be more of just like this insanity. I mean, you have to look at it and also just laugh. Okay? I mean, because what can you do other than laugh at this very moment? So I always try to find the comedy, the joy in things. Things are really dark right now for a lot of people. People are losing their jobs, they're losing their retirement income, the stock market's plummeting, the economy is shrinking, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. But what all is happening? People's rights are being violated, due process is up in the air. But the fact that this just makes me laugh. So let me just get right into it. Trump pressures journalists to accept doctored photo as real. Why don't you just say yes? Why don't you just say yes? So I appreciate every single one of you. Please make sure to like the stream. I'm going to hide the chat away here. Good morning, Elisa, Akicha, Ellie, Cherie, good morning. Toady Pants, good morning. Ellie, love you all. So I'm going to hide away the chat here just so that I don't see it. So Trump pressures journalists to accept doctored photo as real. Why don't you just say yes? President lashed out at Terry Moran in a tense TV interview, which included questions about deportations and tariffs. So, going from the top here, Trump lashed out against an ABC journalist, a guy named Terry Moran, in a tense TV interview to mark the 100 days of his second term in office. I feel like I'm already 100 years old after this. In which, among other confrontations, he angrily pushed a correspondent, Terry Moran, to agree with him that a doctored photo was actually real, telling him, why don't you just say yes? Hold on. I need the hands. I need the hand. There's one. Hold on. Shout out to Erica for getting me these hands. My friend Erica over on TikTok. Why don't you just say yes? Why don't you just say yes? The 40-minute interview in the Oval Office veered off course when Moran pressed Trump on the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, which is a Salvadorian man living in Maryland who was deported despite a protective court order and also the Supreme Court ruling 9-0 to facilitate his return that Donald Trump just seems to conveniently ignore. When Moran pointed out the Supreme Court had ordered Garcia's return to the U.S. and suggested that Trump had the power to comply by making the single phone call, the president bristled. That's an interesting word. So I'm gonna show you the exchange of how this went, but I want to show you the photos first. Okay, this is the photo in question, where Donald Trump was pictured here, showing the photo of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's hand. I know it's really hard to see here. That's why I am also blown up the picture. When looking at this, you see a marijuana leaf, you see a smiley face, a cross, and a skull. Now, in this interview, Donald Trump truly believes, or is lying, that he really does think that this is real, that the MS-13 part is real. So in this interview, it goes down where Donald Trump is literally saying, like, they're real, it literally says it on there, MS-13, it says it, it's undeniable. I don't understand why you can't admit it. Does the MS-13 part look photoshopped to you? Because it is. Does it look real? No, it's not real whatsoever. But Donald Trump truly doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand it. And also, I want to point out that it's not even on here. When you look at his hand, it doesn't have it. So, but he truly does believe that they are real. This is how the exchange goes. So during the interview, Terry Moran on ABC News Tuesday with President Trump insisted that the man in his administration he had mistakenly deported to El Salvador, which he said in his own court documents was an administrative error, had a gang name tattooed on his hand. It's on his knuckles. I need my hands, hold on. It's on his knuckles. He had MS-13. Pause the tape. Rewind it to about a week earlier when President Trump, in his True Social post, held up a photograph of the man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, showing him with 4 tattoos, 1 on each finger. There was a leaf, a smiley face, a cross, and a skull. Above those were the alphanumeric terms MS-13, which had been superimposed onto the photo, essentially serving as a caption. Now, some gang experts have questioned whether they are truly MS-13 tattoos. I think it's very, very doubtful. You know why? Because I'm going to show you what real MS-13 tattoos look like. Because you go and look and say, what are MS-13 tattoos? And you see them. Anyway, so we'll show that in a second. But in the interview with Mr. Moran, the president appeared to believe that the characters had been typed, onto the photo he triumphantly held up in his True Social post were, in fact, tattoos themselves. Mr. Moran gingerly tried to correct the record about that, but Trump was having none of it. Wait a minute, Terry. Wait a minute. Hey, Terry. And then Mr. Moran was like, he did not have the letter. And then it was interrupted. Don't do that. It says MS-13. MS-13. When Mr. Moran said that those characters had been photoshopped on the picture, Mr. Trump looked positively mutinous. Not gonna lie, I mean, that's an opinionated statement or like a analysis interpretation, but that's so funny. This is a piece in the New York Times. The exchange went around, and the president continued to claim with increasing exasperation that the numbers and letters that he had so badly wanted the world to see did in fact on this man's knuckles. He could not bring himself to admit that Mr. Kilmar Abrego Garcia did not have the words MS-13 tattooed on his hand. Why don't you just say yes? Why don't you just say yes, Terry? It's okay. It's okay. Just concede. Just concede that it's on there. It's on there. I know for sure. So why don't you just say yes? Yes, he does. Mr. Trump finally said to Mr. Moran, and you know, go on to something else. And you go on to something else. And, it gets even better. The exchange deteriorated further, and further and further. After he's like, why don't you just say yes? Then the president said, you do such a disservice. This is why people no longer believe the news, because it's fake news. Then he claimed that Mr. Moran wanted to do the milestone interview because, frankly, I've never heard of you. And hey, they're giving you a big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. This also goes to show how highly Trump thinks of himself. Like, this goes to show how egotistical he actually is. You're getting a chance to meet with me out of all people, and I gave you a chance because I didn't know you. That's what Donald Trump is basically saying. Like, oh my God. Anyway, if you're enjoying the live stream, please make sure to like the stream. If this is your first time here, make sure to say hello and where you're tuning in from. Let me show you some real MS-13 tattoos. Here you go. You can see on here, MS-13, MS. This is what real MS-13 tattoos look like. They don't have a lot of creativity. They say MS-13 on them. There you go. Here's another example. You see a big MS. That's what an MS-13 tattoo looks like. I'll show you more. Here are more MS-13 tattoos on prisoners that are in CCOT. This I'm guessing that's a marijuana leaf, a smiley face, a cross, and a skull. It does not mean MS-13. That does not mean MS-13. But yet Trump truly believes that this is tattooed on his hand. And like, there were people that were commenting about this online, and I just want to get to some of those reactions. But first, I want to ask you all in the chat here. Answer below. And by the way, I'm not looking at the chat. So, but I'm just curious. I'm just curious on what you think. Answer below. Do you think, one, Trump knows he is lying and won't admit that it's photoshopped? Or two, he truly believes that they are his tattoos and won't accept otherwise? Answer below. Answer below. Do you think Trump knows he's lying and won't admit it's Photoshop? Or two, truly believes that they are his tattoos? He looks at that picture, he's like, oh, they're clearly the tattoos. Because here's the thing. Neither one of these scenarios is a good reflection on Trump. You know why? Because the first one, he's lying. Obviously, that's a bad thing to do. Second, it shows that he's incredibly naive and will believe anything, even Photoshop pictures, which kind of goes to explain his behavior in some ways. Now, if you want my honest answer, I think that he truly believes that these are his tattoos. And that's why he kept doubling down over and over in the interview. I think he truly believes. Someone photoshopped it on the picture. He saw it and he's like, oh, it's on there. Oh my God, it's on there. I have to take a picture with this. Number two, I truly think that Trump actually believes they are his tattoos and won't accept it otherwise. I think that in some cases, Trump knows he's lying, but in other cases, he's like a drug addict that's gotten, or he's like a drug manufacturer that's gotten high off of his own supply. That's just my initial interpretation, my take. So anyway, if you're attempting to get my attention in the chat, don't, okay? I actually literally have the chat hidden. So if you're screaming, trying to divert the conversation, being obnoxious or drama-seeking or provocative, literally just leave. Leave. Minding your own business is free. Go hug a cactus. Go step on a Lego. Do something more productive with your time. Okay? And two things. You'll be muted for misinformation and disinformation. So if you're literally spewing incorrect facts, data, science, statistics, all of that, you will be muted because we preserve the space. And also that goes against YouTube's content violation policies if you're literally spewing misinformation. And if you then use your First Amendment rights to spew harassment or being obnoxious, racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, ableist, mocking me, my mods, or anyone in here, then yes, you will be muted, you will be blocked, you will be removed. You can yell fire in a crowded theater, you have the freedom to physically do that. But if you do, and it leads to people dying and trampling, then you will be held accountable for your actions. So if you are using your First Amendment to spew harassment, you can technically do that in America, but that means that you will be removed from the space for the safety of others. Cool? Got it? Fantastic, incredible, outstanding. Let's continue. So what's so funny is that Donald Trump truly believes that this Photoshopped picture actually are his tattoos. And let me just get to some people's responses on here. OMG, you guys. Trump thinks that MS-13 photoshopped above Abrego Garcia's knuckles tattoos were part of the tattoo itself. He thinks that they were really tattooed. I'm crying laughing. He's so dumb. I mean, you and me both, sister. You and me, Squirrel Master, that's also a funny name. These replies are just amazing. Trump spells it out clear as day that he is an idiot who believed that MS-13 that were clearly placed above the actual tattoos in the picture, and his cult is doing the most insane mental gymnastics. Ask yourself, the president so easily falls for Photoshop pictures he sees on Truth Social. What other complete falsehoods is he relying on when he makes decisions? How else is he being manipulated? And I think that is such an important understated point. Look, if you were like, oh yeah, Biden had mental cognitive decline, yes, I think that it's very, very fair for you to say that. But guess what? That's why Democrats were like, maybe we shouldn't run him as our nominee. Maybe we should have a replacement. Maybe we should have a replacement. And so we did. I think that Donald Trump is also truly just mentally not well if he can be manipulated this easily. And also, he has just the rantings of a madman. I mean, when it comes down to it, Trump and Biden in that sense are just like two seniors in an old person's home. Bless their hearts. Anyway, this person said it's even funnier because, his team places MS-13 above the tattoos for him, and they spun it so that they could show what the real tattoos meant. They don't, apparently, but in the end, he thought they were legit. LMAO. So they were added to the picture for identification purposes. Trump thought Garcia actually had them tattooed on his knuckles. And that's the thing. Like, there are all these people who truly, all these conservatives now, these MAGA people, are bending over backwards trying to justify this. Let's put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say that it was Biden insisting that those tattoos were real. And he literally said, look, Jack, it says MS-13. It says MS-13. It says it on there. Look, Jack. I know my Biden impression's not that good. He's kind of boring, bless his heart. So, but you have these people saying, he didn't lie. He believed what he was saying. The only conclusion was the symbols versus the actual letters. It seems Trump actually believed the letters and numbers were there, but the substance is still the same. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. So he's spreading disinformation. Love that. Every single conservative saying that the MS-13 part was illustrative and that it referenced the real tattoos. But here is Trump admitting he genuinely believes the Photoshop markers are his actual tattoos. No doubt conservatives will shift the goalposts once again. And this really just goes to show how they respond. As soon as you highlight the inconsistencies, the flaws, the lack of critical thinking, they just resort to childish insults, being like, I certainly hope you're more intelligent than you sound, but I have my doubts. Pointing out the inconsistency in logic is what you say is not intelligent. Anyway. And then, there's all these people that are like, he was using that photo for reference of what the taps what they mean. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He truly believed that they were there. He truly believed it. Why don't you say yes? Yes, he does. Don't do that. It says MS-13. It says MS-13. It says it right there. It says it right there. Terry. Hey, Terry. You don't have to do that. It says it right there. Go and watch the clip. He truly believes that it says it. He truly believes that this doctored photo, which I'll show you the close-up here. He truly believes that that MS-13 part is truly a part of the tattoo. How gullible is this man? And see, here's the thing. I also don't mean to resort to ableism or anything like that, because there are going to be older Americans that can't maybe grasp or understand Photoshop. The fact that, like, that's such a newer technology, relatively speaking, that it makes it sometimes hard for older people to, like, stop themselves and actually, like, oh yeah, oh, there's this technology that can do that. So I don't even mean to go down that route, because there are going to be, it's the same way that a lot of older Americans are targets of scammers and people who are online trying to scam them out of their hard-earned retirement and all that stuff. Though that also goes to show how, like, mentally not well, or how incompetent even that Trump is. He's not fit for that office in that sense. So this is not a good reflection on him regardless of the situation, you know? So I just wanted to point that out there too. Again, so he truly believes that they are actually, like, on there. And you have all of his, like, MAGA cult followers trying to bend over backwards to justify. You thought the letters were literally tattooed on? They're a code. They're a code. A marijuana leaf, a smiley for MS, and then the cross looks like the 1, and then the skull, the curves on the right side make it look like a 3. You really thought you had something. You're really stretching. Like, honey, you are gonna pull a muscle with the amount of stretching that you gotta do. Again, MS-13 tattoos are not like that. This is what they look like. This is what they look like. It says MS-13. They look like this. They look like that. You're really stretching with trying to do that. But see, this is what conservatives have to do. They have to go through these mental gymnastics in order to justify what Trump does. And we'll give you some more examples here in a second. This is just the start of the live stream. It gets so much worse, okay? And this person says only they're not photoshopped. No matter how hard you try to deny it, he is an MS-13 gang member, and he's not going to live in this country ever again. And see, that's the thing. That's the thing. These people are going to double down on their stubbornness and on their lies, no matter what, no matter how much the evidence shows that they are lying. Because this is the thing about MAGA people, and this is the thing about a cult. They don't care about evidence. They don't need evidence to drive their ideology or drive their thought process. That is how a cult works. You and me, reasonable people that look at evidence and actually then come to a conclusion, people in a cult don't work like that. They don't need evidence. They just have an accusation or an idea, and they say, well, this is what I want. This is what I believe. It's something called postmodernism. There is an element of what's really, really dangerous in America is if we go into, like, a postmodernist kind of realm. And you say, okay, well, what does postmodernism mean? You know, the people that are going to look at something and say, oh, well, that's my truth. That's my truth. Okay, there are things that are your truth. The fact that my sexuality, I'm gay, that's my truth. The fact that I am from North Carolina and that I am a Southern person, that is my truth. But also, there are people that take objective facts, statistics, data, and reality and say that their spin is their truth. They'll look up at the sky and say, oh, the sky is purple, that's my truth. Or they'll take a data point, a statistic, and they'll say, oh, climate change doesn't exist, that's my truth. So this person will say, oh, it's my truth, the fact that he has it tattooed on his knuckles. So you see how it's really dangerous when people try to take the parameters of actual reality and transform it into, oh, well, that's just my truth. This is what MAGA does. When you give them data, science, statistics, facts, and information that they don't like, they're going to say that it goes against their truth. That is how a cult operates. That's how a cult operates. And there's no amount of evidence, science, and statistics and data that will make them think otherwise. It's purely based on emotional desirability. It's the same way that many of those people fall into conspiracy theories. I fell into a conspiracy theory once. You know the thing that was driving me? It wasn't evidence. It was the shock value. It was the shock value, the intrigue, the corruption aspect of this big, dark secret. And I don't need to talk about what it was. It wasn't like Pizzagate or anything like that. It was an Egyptology thing. Because I'm also a super big nerd. Anyway, but like this emotional desirability from MAGA is really what drives them. They're like, there's an evil cabal of people that are operating all these forces and it's a deep state plot. They don't need evidence for it, or they will try and find evidence and say that it's their truth, not the truth. So like you see how this postmodernism kind of chaotic way just crafts this really, really dangerous moment in history, which can lead to democracy's crumbling. I hope that was helpful. Whenever you run into these people, it's like no amount of evidence you give them is going to convince them. You have to get to the meat of their emotional desirability. That's why I talk about the heads I win, tails you lose stuff all the time. It's because they have a lack of empathy to understand. Also, I want to point out, you all know Brian Tyler Cohen. I do watch some of his videos occasionally. And it's so cool because he finally used my analogy. I don't know if somehow he were to see me or, you know, other people started using it. I used the heads I win, tails you lose analogy. And I've used it for like the past 6 months. And he used it in a video and I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, I don't know if it was because of me or other people, but I just wanted to share that with you all. So let me move on. My phone is getting kind of hot, so let me turn on my AC. Hold on. I always do my live streams in my car. So I appreciate every single one of you, even if you don't like me. Just saying. Even if you hate my guts. This is only the start. So if you're enjoying the live stream so far, by the way, just please make sure to send some likes. Share the live stream with a friend. If you're new here, say hello and where you're tuning in from. I like to get to know people. And again, 2 rules in the live. You will be muted if you spew misinformation. You will be muted if you spew misinformation. And objectively just like wrong stuff. And if you use your First Amendment rights to harass other people, you'll be muted. Cool. Got it. Awesome. Let me move on to the next thing. I just wanted to share. Oh, God. So yesterday, on Donald Trump's Truth Social, he said, this is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. I didn't take over until January 20th. Tariffs will soon start kicking in, and companies are starting to move into the USA in record numbers. Our country will boom as in blow up. But we will have to get rid of the Biden overhang. Don't you be talking about the overhang? Someone's overhang. This will take a while. It has nothing to do with tariffs. Only that he left us with the bad numbers when the boom begins. And it will be like no other. Be patient. Okay, a year ago, let me point out something. Then a year ago, on January 29th of 2024, he said, and this is during the Biden administration, he said, this is the Trump stock market because my polls against Biden are so good that investors are projecting that I will win, and that will drive the market up. Okay, so let me get this straight, even though I'm gay. Okay, you are saying that right now we are going through the Biden stock market. We are going through the Biden stock market. Your logic being that there's this overhang. There is this overhang that Biden did. Though, when you go back to January of 2024, you say it's the Trump stock market because the market is looking forward ahead into the future saying that you're going to win. So it's performing well. But then when the market looks back, it shows Biden doing badly. Mr. President, do you really think Americans are this dumb? I mean, like, do you really think Americans are this dumb? See, this is the thing. If you are still a part of that cult, bless your heart. Like, seriously. I was raised in a Christian conservative family, okay? I believed it. I paid into it. I subscribed to Sean Hannity's show, y'all. I was a part of that. I know what it's like. This is your moment to separate yourself. Have some dignity and respect for yourself to separate from the cult. Separate from MAGA. They don't do anything for you. They literally siphon your money for endless merchandise and then literally spit on you with tax cuts for the rich. Separate yourself. Have some dignity. You don't have to constantly bend over backwards to justify this man's 3D chess code. He's a grifter. He's a felon. That's what he does. And so, Donald is taking the stock market with his tariffs. I miss Joe Biden. This person said that he's lying. You cannot blame this on Biden's fault. Also, how does this have to do with Biden? And then got some name calling there. But let me also just point out here. This is our overall GDP growth, okay? You can see here, this goes back to 2023, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four, and then 2024. This is where we are. If you have not heard, in quarter one of this new economy that Donald Trump has been a part of, it is shrunk. This is, I think, the first time in several years since COVID that the economy, GDP, has shrunk. You know why? It's because the anticipation of when the tariffs truly do hit. And when I can show you all the data, science, statistics, facts, and everything that I covered 2 days ago when I was talking about the economy and diving into the numbers. But again, no amount of evidence is going to convince any of those MAGA people whatsoever. It's it's my truth that the economy is actually thriving. Anyway, so he's like, it's doing so fantastically well. It's like, this is all your mess. What will you say when the shelves go empty within weeks? Oh, we'll talk about what he's saying when the shelves go empty, or at least there are way less stuff on the shelves, okay? We're gonna be getting to, if you have not heard Donald Trump's comment about dolls, oh my God. It's like the most wild thing ever. So we're gonna be getting to that, okay? And this person's like, Mr. President, how can you believe that everyone will fall for this? I'll fall for all your lies. Well, several people do. Your so-called reciprocal tariffs are nothing but a joke in the world of economics. Goes on, yada yada. So we had a 2.4% increase in quarter four, which at the time you claimed credit for, as the economy was looking ahead to your being back in office, and that it was your doing. But now we're in a shrinking economy. We're on our way to a recession, and even though you've had control of the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives for the past 4 months, the Q1 decline was somehow Biden's fault? Again, it's heads I win, tails you lose politics all the time. Logic need not apply here. It's what the exact preconditions of a cult are. Do I even need to look at the chat? I have it hidden away. I'm gonna guess that it's overrun with all of these MAGA people. Look, let me make an announcement to you all. It's okay to admit that you were duped by MAGA. It's okay to admit that you were fooled into thinking this guy was somehow a savior for America. Democrats, liberals, leftists, people on the left, we're actually trying to advocate for you. We're trying to advocate for everyone, not just ourselves or policies. We're trying to help everyone who's also been brainwashed into MAGA. We're trying to say, look, have some respect for yourself. Stop endlessly donating to the grift of this man. Stop just being a cog in his machine for whatever maniacal thing he wants to do. Have some respect for yourself. No, Democrats are not perfect. We're not saying that whatsoever. But have some respect for yourself and free yourself from the shackles of being a part of the cog in the machine of MAGA. I did. It's okay. There's actually a huge amount of strength that goes into admitting when you've been duped or that you are wrong about something. And I'm encouraging you, if you're watching this, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to then look at this and be like, you know, that is kind of crazy. Yeah, it really is. It really is. You don't have to admit that Democrats are somehow saviors. That's not what we're saying at all. They have their flaws, many of them. I worked for some of the most anti-establishment people trying to primary the old guard of the Democratic Party. I'm one of these Bernie Sanders AOC types, okay? Have some respect for yourselves and separate. Anyway, now going further. By the way, I'm not looking at the chat. I'm just anticipating. I'm just predicting what's in there. So just looking at this again. So we've had 2.4% increase in quarter four, which at the time you claimed credit for as the country was, quote, looking ahead to your being back in office, and that it was your doing. The stock market's doing well because it's predicting that I will win, that it will be fantastic. They're predicting with their almighty powers that be that I am a god and that I will be in office, and the stock market's doing well because they're getting ready to roll out the red carpet for you know who. And now it's like he's been in office, has the Senate, the House, doing tariffs, and the decline. It's like, oh, that's Biden's fault, Anyway, and then this person, this is an interesting comment. This person said, no, it's yours. It's down due to tariffs. It was soaring under Biden. Your tariffs have scared all of us. No one is hiring. It stopped cold. We have a disaster. I've lost retirement money. It was soaring under Biden. I voted for you. I regret it. I'm a Republican. I'll never vote Republican again. Midterms will see Demi destroy Republican by 50 to 60 or more seats, and it's your fault. You need to be impeached for this. Now, I cannot verify the credibility of this person, their story, or anything, as they are a faceless user on Truth Social. Putting that out there. Though there are many people who voted for Trump that are experiencing remorse. And I've shared many of those stories endlessly over and over. On my page, on TikTok, on all of it. The fact that I can do a big breakdown of all the numbers with the tariffs. I can. I did it 2 days ago. I will probably do a little bit more of it toward the end of the live stream. I also want to mention that the job market right now is really rough. It's really rough. You have a lot of people who are in the job market that are overly qualified for the jobs they are applying for. That is a really bad job market. And the fact that Doge just went through and laid off all these people, and now you have a bigger influx of people trying to get jobs. What happens when you have a bigger population than the number of jobs that are there? It's really hard. Unemployment has skyrocketed. There was a time where Republicans pretended to care about unemployment. Look where they are now. They literally actively endorsed it by recruiting Elon Musk, the world's richest man, to go through and just fire people. So I know people who've been personally affected by this. I know people personally in my life that voted for Trump and that are Republicans and then were terminated by Doge. I know people personally in my life that are like that. And they're like, yeah, this was a huge betrayal. And I'm just like, I have so much I want to say, but I'm like, I'm glad that you're seeing this. I'm sorry that you're having to go through this. Anyway, but God, this moment is just so crazy. But speaking of crazy, let's move on to the next one. Oh my God, this next thing just, this is probably the most wild thing that I have ever seen. One of the most wild things, if not the most wild thing of Donald Trump's presidency thus far. Have you heard his comment about dolls? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. So, you know the tariffs, right? All right. So in this moment where he's talking with some of his staff advisors and everyone, he makes this comment about dolls that I want to talk about. So, at the end of a cabinet meeting, the president allowed for the possibility of a trade war, which could disrupt supply chains. And he says that maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30. Okay, let me put it in context. President Trump has a message for the nation's children. Prepare to sacrifice for your country. Obviously, that's a little bit more like analysis, all of that. This is a part of an article in New York Post. He was taking questions at the end of one of his marathon cabinet meetings when he finally allowed that, yes, his tariff policies in trade war he has set off with China may soon result in emptier than usual shelves in stores, specifically toy stores. And this is what Donald Trump said. This is what he said. You know, somebody said, oh, the shelves, they're going to be open. Well, the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls, you know? And maybe the 2 dolls will cost a couple more bucks than they would normally. He legitimately said that. He legitimately admitted that tariffs under the economy that he imposed is going to be leading to this kind of stuff. Maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30. Have 2 dolls instead of 30. And maybe the 2 dolls will cost a little bit more. He is admitting that there is about to be economic hardship ahead. Republicans, are y'all tired of winning yet? Are you tired of winning yet? Is this what you voted for? Yes, this is what you voted for. Economic disaster. He's admitting it. Right here. God. And like, I want to flash forward. You all remember all these signs that were all over. Trump low prices, Kamala high prices. He is admitting that his tariffs are literally skyrocketing prices. I mean, no matter how much evidence I show, how much things I put in context, it's not going to matter to people who are part of a cult. I'm not trying to reach those people. I'm simply just pointing out here the insanity. The insanity! So, he says, you know, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe your children will have 2 dolls instead of 30, you know, and maybe the 2 dolls will cost a couple more bucks than they would normally. It's like, yeah, that's real easy for you to say, coming from a super wealthy billionaire guy, okay? Like, I mean, pronouncement of the president had the value of being truthful, at least. And I just want to point out here, I actually did a bigger breakdown economically of how toy stores would do, and I'm probably going to flash back to that. I did it 2 days ago. I'll probably show you a little bit of that. But Greg Ahern, chief executive of the Toy Association, a U.S. industry group representing 850 toy manufacturers, told the Times that there is now a, quote, frozen supply chain that is putting Christmas at risk. Quote, if we don't start production soon, there's a high probability of a toy shortage this holiday season. during Christmas. You hear that, kids? And I just want to read some of these comments here, okay? This is what Bernie said in response, and this is spot on. Billionaires like Musk and Trump do not have a clue. Do not have a clue about what it means for a working class family trying to buy presents for their kids. They truly do not even have a clue. Trump literally just said, maybe your child will only have $2 instead of 30, and maybe those $2 will cost a few more dollars. Is this what winning sounds like? Also, again, if you're enjoying the stream, please make sure to like the stream. I love all of you. I love all of you. Ready for this? Trump's statement was that your kids may only have $2 instead of 30. WTF. The man with the golden toilets in the gold Oval Office wants parents to buy less toys for their kids. Preposterous. Does that mean that MAGA men have to settle for one dildo instead of two? And then this person said, all except Lindsey Graham. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't think that people are this person then said, I think people are actually slightly missing the point, the import of Trump's $30 comment. Most families in this country can't afford $30. Rich kids and rich families, maybe. If rich kids have to go from $30 to $2, what do you think that means for everyone else? I think that's also really, really spot on. Trump said today, maybe the children will have $2 instead of 30 in Trump's America. It's very much like let them eat cake, Marie Antoinette kind of thing. I mean, it's obvious elitism. It's obvious elitism. Donald Trump now advertising not to buy dolls for children as a good method of surviving his oncoming recession. Incredible. Incredible. And maybe the dolls will cost a couple more bucks this Christmas. Are you ready to concede that you are all dumbasses, MAGA? So they might have $2 instead of 30. This is a trivial way dismissing the economic insecurity of what is spreading throughout the country while he plays with our money. If only the problems of American families was the number of dolls that we can afford. And again, I just keep going back to these. You saw these signs everywhere. It's almost as if he lied. Now, also, because of this, you have so many different memes relating to the Grinch in Trump going around. Maybe the children will have $2 instead of 30. This guy is literally running on the platform of the Grinch. The Grinch. And since, like, this is Trumponomics. You lose your job, your savings vanish, your prices skyrocket, you lose your retirement. But don't worry, kids. You still get $2 instead of 30. We're going to be winning so much. America's going to be so wealthy. Sure. The con who stole Christmas. And, like, the Grinch memes don't stop. They don't stop. I like this one a lot. We're getting into Grinch territory here. Maybe the children will have $2 instead of 30 this year. And it shows the Grinch taking the train going into the bag here. MAGA parents. Trump says your kids can do with less gifts this Christmas. He's the new Grinch who stole the Christmas for your kids. And then, you don't get to buy your child toys because of Trump. Felt like effing up the economy and put tariffs on everything. It's like skimp on the Barbie. Trump administration admits tariffs will raise prices. This is the thing, y'all. This guy's an obvious elitist who knows that his tariffs are ruining the economy. Yet he continues to just plow forward. This is why I tell all of those angry MAGA people, free yourself from the shackles of being a part of being a cog in the machine of MAGA for this man, this maniac's personal enrichment. You're better than this, unless I guess maybe you're not. Anyway, I also want to break down a couple more numbers on the economy here as well, just putting things in context. So when we're talking about toys, this is from the Toy Association, which is an official association. I call this the upcoming Christmas catastrophe. Christmas and toy companies are at risk. They surveyed their members, and it was not looking pretty for them. So this was the impact of tariffs on the U.S. toy industry. 96% of American toys are small, toy companies are small and mid-sized businesses. Around 50% of them say that they will soon go out of business due to the current U.S. tariff policy. You see here that of the small, which are the blue in these bar charts, 81% of small toy companies are delaying their orders. 64% of them are canceling orders, and around 46% say that they will go out of business within a few weeks or months. Now, mid-sized companies are saying, 87% of them are delaying orders, 80% of them are canceling them, and 45% of them are saying that we will go out of business within weeks to months. This is not some big coordinated effort to try and critique Trump. No, they're just admitting, hey, these tariffs are going to suck for us. Because you know who pays the tariff? We do. Tariffs are an inflationary tool. A way that a tariff works is if you tariff goods coming from China, China doesn't pay the tariff. When Donald Trump says they pay the tariff, they're going to be paying a lot more tariffs, and we're not going to let them rip us off anymore. The U.S. pays the tariff. That's how it works. A tariff is an inflationary tool designed to move up the threshold for what is an acceptable price, in theory, to then make domestically made products look more competitive. But what happens is you see domestic manufacturers see an opportunity to raise their own products to being just below the other price of the tariff. So let's say that you have you tariff cars, okay? A lot of cars are made overseas in places like China, okay? You put a tariff on a car of X amount. Let me actually show you this in math here, okay? This is how tariffs work. Example cars. The United States, a car costs $45,000. In Canada, costs $45,000. Mexico costs $45,000. This is where it's made. So this one's made in the US, this one's made in Canada, this one's made in Mexico, right? Well, what a tariff does in theory is if you put a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars, just follow me for a second. 25% of 45,000 is 11,250. So if you put a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars, this is how much they're going to cost to come into the United States. That's what it is like in theory. So you see the US price looks more competitive, Canadian price and Mexican price are higher. You can also use that for China. Now, the US-made cars see an opportunity to raise their own prices because guess what? This is how the market works. If you see these options, are you going to go for the US made one, Canada, Mexico? If you're just looking purely based on price, you're going to go to the US one. But guess what? The US price, that people are going to go to the US price whether it's 45 or maybe 48,000 or 50,000 or 52,000 or even 54,000. Why? Because the US sees an opportunity to raise their prices, to price gouge, which are all still less than that, but it raises the threshold for what an acceptable price is. That's what tariffs do in practice. In theory, what they're supposed to do is bring domestic manufacturing back. How Donald Trump is doing these tariffs is he's just throwing them out there, expecting all of a sudden there to be all this like big influx of investment in the United States. Except global supply chains take years in order to then get solidified. You can't just throw a tariff on something and think that all of a sudden the US economy is going to respond like that. As I was talking the other day with US and with China and their soybeans, we as the United States, where was it? Hold on, let me actually find the graphic here. Hold on. The US supplies a lot of soybeans to China. We grow lots of corn, wheat, and soy. That's something that we do. And let me find it here. Just a second. Hold on. Where is it? Yes, here it is. We supply China with a lot of soybeans. That's one of our biggest export crops. Except now, because we put a tariff on China at 145%, they put a tariff on us at 145%. So that means that our soybeans cost so much more for them to import. So they're like, well, you put a tariff on us, we put a tariff on you. Guess what? Well, we can just go and find other places for our soybeans. So a tariff is basically like putting up a wall. It's putting up a wall of trade. If you say that you're going to put a tariff on something, they're going to be like, well, China's going to say, well, I guess we're not trading with the U.S. anymore. What do you got, Brazil? You got soybeans? Let's take them. So U.S. agricultural exporters are having an especially challenging time, so much so that in March, China bought more soybeans from Brazil in 1 month than ever in their history. So while a tariff is supposed to incentivize domestic manufacturing, what it also does is it pushes out and makes it hard for us to export goods that we have to other countries, because we place a tariff on them, they place a tariff back on us. And then it leads to us not being able to trade, not being able to get out product, which then leads to economic decline, which is what we are seeing. It's what we are seeing. So again, when just looking at how this all works, it happens where domestically made things also skyrocket in price, and it makes it hard for us to then move and export the existing products that we have because of retaliatory tariffs that are imposed. I used this analogy yesterday. I've always thought about it this way. The economy is very similar to a pot of boiling water. Okay? The economy works when trade is very, very easily able to be done. So economies rely on trade to stay afloat. So if you are a pot of boiling water, you need to keep the temperature up in order to boil the pasta. So that's how the economy works. What a tariff does is it's literally just turning down the temperature. It's turning down the temperature. That's what a tariff does. Tariffs basically stop. When you stall trading, it makes it hard to restart it. That's what tariffs do. They basically just put up a wall. Tariffs are a metaphorical wall around America where it's hard for us to import goods. It's hard for us to also export goods. That's why people say American isolationism is a bad idea. Now, you say, okay, well, what's the opposite then? Free trade where we get ripped off by all these deals? If you want to negotiate better deals with other countries, the answer is not just canceling the deals, putting up a wall around yourself and saying, negotiate with me. The answer is sitting down with them being like, is there a way that we can move forward jointly together? Is there a way that we can figure this out? It's not taking your marbles, going home, and then complaining when the other kids don't follow you. Like that's what Donald Trump basically does. When you're playing marbles, when kids would play marbles with each other and you're not happy, and one kid just is like, I'm gonna take my marble and go home. All the other kids are like, okay. Donald Trump is very similar to that kid that then keeps turning around being like, I'm doing it. I'm taking the marble. I'm going home. And they're like, okay, bye. I'm going. You're not going to see me again. Okay. Like, China is not falling for it. They're just not. They're just not. Donald Trump is trying to play hard to get with these tariffs. He's like, I'm putting a tariff on your country. They're like, okay, we'll put one back. Yeah, well, I'm going to put bigger ones on your country. I'm going to put bigger ones, huge. Okay, then we'll match you. Are you sure you want to do that? Don't you want to negotiate with me? No. But we have all these things that you need. We'll find it somewhere else. It's very toddler-like mentality. That's how it works. And, I'd like to say that it's just semantics and like rhetoric, but this is now the U.S. economy. Like, his actions are really changing the U.S. economy. And going back to what they were saying about the dolls comment, again, There are so many different people, CEOs of big companies that I'm not a fan of, but like Walmart, Target, Home Depot are like, look, dude, we're going to have some empty store shelves if you don't turn this around. So empty store shelves are coming as companies cancel orders from China amid tariff concerns. Let me show you some more some numbers here. This is just the port of Los Angeles. There has been a 33, almost a third, a 31% decrease in the amount of things that we are importing. But guess what? While we are not importing stuff from China, we're also not increasing our domestic manufacturing, because it's way easier. It's way harder for you to build up a supply chain than it is to cancel it. It's way easier to destroy a supply chain by messing things up, effing things up, canceling it, than it is to actually build a supply chain in America. So right now, the Port of Los Angeles, they're down about a third, 31% in their import volumes, which means that there's going to be less product that is shipped around. This is active loaded import containers on the terminal. This is taken from 2 days ago, so it's also really reliable. You see here, you're like, well, what am I looking at? This is think of this as like a huge port. You have all the big containers that have all the stuff in it, okay? Within 0 to 4 days, there's going to be 54% of the whole port are going to be active loaded containers with stuff. In 6 to 8 days, it's only going to be about a fourth, 23%. In 9 to 12 days, it's only going to be 3.8%. Now, I'm curious at why it increases here, but it's also not to the point where it increases to normal levels. But it's decreasing fast. Because China is just not sending us things anymore. It's going to be bad. It's going to hit. You know, comparatively, this is active empty containers on terminal. Within 0 to 4 days, it's about 28%. Then you're going to have the last hurrah of all the stuff coming in and being shipped out, and then it skyrockets. China is literally canceling and delaying orders, sending us stuff. And we import a lot of stuff from them. So I'm not saying go out and panic buy, but also like, I'm not saying that, because things might get bad. It might get bad. And also look at transport. In order to build up a supply chain, it's not just getting the good from the country by ship. You also have to think about transporting it to market, then marketing it. So outdated container metrics. You see, this is by truck. Trucking is going to come to a complete stop. Within 0 to 4 days, this is all the stuff that you have. But then trucking is going to decrease so much to the point where it literally stops. It literally stops. Or even rail. Rail is going to slow down as well. This is literally what's happening. Empty in 2 weeks. Warning by Walmart, Target, and Home Depot. These tariffs are stalling the market. And again, as I mentioned earlier in the live stream, you see here the the US economy, our GDP has shrunk because of the anticipation to these tariffs. But yet Donald Trump is so senile that he looks at this and says that this is Biden's stock market. This is Biden's stock market. I didn't take control until January 20th. This is just the overhang. This has nothing to do with the tariffs. Be patient. But then when it was last year, around January, when things were doing decently well, he says, this is the stock market because the polls are showing that I'm going to win. I'm going to win. They'll drive the market up. They'll drive it up. Boom. Skyrocket off into the wind. You know, it's going up. It's going all the way up to the sky. Raise your arms. Raise the roof. And like, again, as this person pointed out, so we had a 2.4% increase in quarter four, which at the time you claimed credit for, as the country was looking ahead to you being back in office. And that it was your doing. But now we're in a shrinking economy, well, on our way into a recession, And even though you've had control of the White House, the Senate, the House of Representatives for the past 4 months, the Q1 decline was Biden's fault. Again, it's very heads I win, tails you lose. It's just absolute insanity. And when looking at all of this, going to what, I actually have a theory. This is not actual evidence, but I have a theory that Donald Trump, I'm wondering if he's trying to destroy the global, or if he's trying to destroy our economy. I truly wonder if he's doing it on purpose with these tariffs. Like you say, oh, that's kind of crazy. Is it though? Is it? Because when just looking at this, I don't know if it's inconceivable to come to that conclusion. That's not evidence, that's my analysis, that's my interpretation. But going to his doll comment, I'm absolutely just flabbergasted that he actually even said this. Again, this was in a cabinet meeting. I'm going to report this and then I need to skedaddle. I love all of you so much. If you have enjoyed the live stream, please make sure to smash that subscribe button, like the stream. Also, if you're new here, before we end in about 5-7 minutes, please make sure to say hello and where you're tuning in from. But Donald Trump, if you've not heard, literally said, somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. The shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have two dolls instead of 30 dolls, and maybe 2 dolls, they'll cost a couple more bucks than they normally would. Oh my God. MAGA, you tired of winning yet? You're tired of winning? This is the guy who literally was saying that America is going to be wealthier than ever before. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have so much money. It's going to be in a golden age. Not the golden age of dolls, apparently, because, going from 30 to 2. What about the kids that already have 2? Are they going to go to -28? Anyway, and of course, people were clocking him on this hardcore. Billionaires like Musk and Trump do not have a clue what it means to be working class trying to buy presents for their kids. They have no clue. And is this what winning sounds like? Trump literally just said, maybe your child will only have 2 dolls instead of 30. And maybe those 2 dolls will cost a little bit more, just a little bit more, a wee bit more. It won't be huge, just a little more. People were like, this is just preposterous. Trump's statement was, your kids may only have 2 dolls instead of 30. The man with the golden toilets in the golden Oval Office wants parents to buy less toys for their kids. Preposterous. And this person says, does that mean that MAGA men have to settle for only 1 dildo instead of 2? And this person that says, all of them except Lindsey Graham. Oh, God. It's just, oh my God. I don't think that we live in the dumbest timeline possible. This is why the aliens don't bother trying to come to Earth. They see this and they're like, oh, let's stay away from that planet because they're crazy, especially that spot on the map. That's wild, okay? This is why aliens don't take an interest in us, okay? They're like, these things are dumb. Let's just go to a different place. And it's very Marie Antoinette, in my view, to be like, oh, let them eat. It's very let them eat cake. May they not have 30 dolls, only 2, and may those 30 dolls, be gone. Just have 2, and those 2 are going to be more expensive. You ready to admit that you're all dumbasses, MAGA? And again, you remember all these signs? It's almost as if Trump lied. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was talking about tariffs back in October and November and how dangerous they were going to be. And here we are, dealing with the ramifications of tariffs, and it's about to get way worse, as I pointed out earlier. Prepare, y'all. Prepare. And the fact that he's saying that dolls will go from 30 to 2, it's very much giving Grinch. Very much giving the Grinch. So, of course, naturally, all the memes have been going crazy around the Grinch. And it's... he's running on the platform of the Grinch. You know, maybe you should just skimp on the Barbie. God. Anyway, I need to skedaddle. I love all of you so much. Even if you don't like me, you know, this moment is just one of the craziest that I've ever seen in history, and I don't even know how to approach it anymore. All you can do is laugh. All you can do is laugh these days. And I appreciate every single one of you. If this was y'all's first time here, then hello. My name is Scott. Again, I am a news journalist. I am a former political organizer, now work in the corporate world. But I try to do whatever I can to inform, educate, break things down, make it easier. You don't have to agree with my opinions at all. You don't have to agree with my analysis. I'm here to give you the tools to think critically and also encourage that you center your thinking around empathy. Not just what is good for you, but what is good for everyone. So I appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to my amazing moderators. If you want to support me on my channel, then please join. I do have subscriptions on here. They help fund my work. I appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to my amazing moderators in here. Y'all are all awesome. Ellie, Akicha, Cherie, Kate, Elisa, y'all are all incredible. Akicha, Kate, Joanna Tech, Jenny, gosh, Ellie, I couldn't do it without you all. I'm sure that there were a lot of angry trolls in here, and they can all go, you know, sit on a cactus. So I appreciate all of you so much. Y'all are incredible. Even for all the people who just try to, like, throw in insults, like, it's okay to admit that you're wrong about something. So anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to all my amazing mods again. Again, Ellie, Akicha, Elisa, Cherie, Kate, Jenny, Joanna Tech. Am I missing anyone? Hope I'm not. Elisa, Cherie, y'all are all incredible. So anyway, I'm gonna skedaddle. Thank you for your time. Aww. Divided we fall. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So, I appreciate all of you so much. Joanna Tech, love you. Just remember that you are beautiful. You are loved. You are valid. You are strong. And you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!